Hello there, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are watching. I am the Chall, and today Chall Chats Doncaster Rovers. We're going to be going a bit more in depth into the game on New Year's Day. Doncaster Rovers 3. Still trying to work out the graphics there. Doncaster Rovers 3, MK Dons 0. First of all, shout out to the MK Fellas Vlogs for appearing in the Matchday vlog. The link for their channel is in the description of that video. Go and check out that video. That one's been powering through at the moment. The transfer recruitment plan video has been soaring in views, so thank you very much. Some other fun videos out there. I spent 24 hours in an arcade, so go and check out that if you want to. Plenty of big stuff coming up. We've just obviously announced on social media today the 5 FA Cup games in 5 days. So just quickly before we get into the MK Dons game, we're just going to quickly go over that briefly for those who haven't seen the announcements. So just because Rovers are at the FA Cup doesn't mean the content stops from that competition. So on this Thursday, we're going to be reviewing the 8 o'clock kickoff between Crystal Palace and Everton in the FA Cup round 3. On the Friday, which kicks off at 8 p.m. as well, we're reviewing Tottenham versus Burnley. On the Saturday, 12:15 kickoff, quarter past midday, we're reviewing the Tyne-Wear derby, Sunderland versus Newcastle. Now, if I've got any extra time on the Sunday, I will watch back over Doncaster versus Harrogate and review that as an extra game. But on the Sunday at 2 o'clock, it'll be Shrewsbury versus Wrexham. And then at 8:15 in the evening on the Monday, it is Wigan versus Manchester United. So there's 5 games in 5 days. Go and check out those videos when they go up. It's going to be a big few days on the channel by the end of this week. A lot of FA Cup coverage. Obviously, going into February and March, the Champions League, the Europa League, the Europa Conference League, that'll all be going back up on the channel with the knockout stages. So fingers crossed, we're doing a lot of reviews from them. We've got teams like Leipzig, Man City, Copenhagen, a lot of teams in those competitions in the Europa League and Europa Conference League as well. So definitely a lot of games to cover in that competition, or all 3 of those competitions. And then we've got also loads more Rovers content as well, alongside the Chall Chats podcast, where we've got some very exciting guests lined up. So stay tuned for all of that. But let's finally get into the start then of this game. Doncaster Rovers 3, MK Dons 0. What else can I say? Absolutely fantastic performance. The second half, we definitely had to weather the storm in terms of MK Dons control and the tempo and the possession of that match for the majority of the half. We just did what we had to do. We sat on the 3-0 lead. We defended well. We held our own. MK Dons didn't have a lot of chances to make up with the possession they had. In fact, overall, on average, in both halves, they had 70% of the ball in this game. And they only had a few shots in the game as well. I think it was like 4 or 5 shots, 1 on target or 2 on target in 90 minutes. And bearing in mind 2 of those shots and 1 of the shots on target, or the shot on target, was in the second half alone. We had 20 shots, 6 on target, and 3 of them went in. So, overall, not just in the first half, but I mean overall. But we just did fantastic on the day. First person I want to talk about is Owen Bailey. Obviously, we don't want to dig out like individuals and stuff like that, but there are a few individuals that I do want to talk about in this video. Also, we're going to go over a couple of bits of extra Doncaster Rovers news at the end of the video, but we're going to first speak about Owen Bailey in terms of this performance. Oh my God, that guy. He's got a new nickname from me now, Immortal Upon Tyne. And the explanation behind that is he's just immense. He can play everywhere on the pitch, and he's from Newcastle upon Tyne originally. So it just works. And, I think Immortal Upon Tyne just sounds amazing. So Owen Bailey, my Immortal Upon Tyne. Just again, in defense, just absolutely stole it. He's personally my man of the match. From that game. Others went with Tommy Rowe. Others went with Luke Molyneux, as deserved. Molyneux, again, was absolutely class. He's crucial to the way Grant McCann wants to play going forward. And I think that, again, that right-hand side of Jamie Sterry and Luke Molineux, when I first saw the lineup, I was worried we were going to go with a 5 at the back again. And then we saw it was a 4 at the back, and Fowl was out wide. And me and Mo have had this conversation face to face in private and privately on Messenger as well, on messages as well. Me and Mo have had this conversation about the Mansfield game. Where I came on this channel and I said that I thought that Fowl didn't have a great first start because of the fact that he was out wide. He was getting caught out a lot of the time. He's not a defender, so he was having to track back and cover a bit of space on the left hand side at the back. He weren't a defender, so it kind of felt out of place for him. I think compared to that game or that first half on the left-hand side, I think he had a much better game today, in my opinion. I think Mo had a much, much better game in this game, out wide. And I was worried at first him being out wide again, but I'll tell you something now. He improved on what he needed to improve, and he delivered a much better performance overall. So my praises go to Mo as well. But back to Owen Bailey quickly just to finish it off. Again, I'll make this statement if I haven't made it already. He is the signing of the season, and someone who comes in January is going to have a massive, massive, massive 6 months to convince me otherwise now. Owen Bailey is the signing of the season, and he is crucial to our long term. And I might go as so far to say that he is I don't want to talk about profit and selling and whatever, but from a financial perspective, if we're looking at a business standpoint of a football club, Owen Bailey is the most valuable asset to this football club and this squad at the moment. He is arguably the biggest selling asset in this football club at the moment, and he's just been the best defender this season at the club, and he's not even a defender. He's a centre defensive midfielder. But I did say to you when we signed him, he's a hybrid. He can play as a centre back. He can play as centre defensive midfielder, particularly on the right hand side of the back line. And wow, he's just proved me absolutely spot on. Love this signing to pieces when we signed him, and it's just proved me right again. And it's proved a lot of people right, because a lot of people said Owen Bailey was going to be a brilliant signing for us, and they were right as well. So Owen Bailey for me, signing of the season, man of the match performance. Yeah, that right-hand side, Luke Molineux and Jamie Sterry, if we can get respectable backup players behind them long term, whether that be Tom Nixon, whether that be on the wing, obviously Carl Hurst. I'm going to speak about Carl Hurst in a bit, but I'll come to him in a bit. But if we can get the right players behind Molineux and Sterry and keep Sterry fit, that right-hand side is absolutely sorted, because you have Molineux and Sterry starting, and then you have your lone players or your younger players playing behind them, stepping in when needed to make the same kind of impact or a similar kind of impact or just as good of an impact. And you then have that right-hand side sorted. Up front, where else can we go next? It's all about the boom, Ironside, baby. Are we getting those fingers ready again? Oh, Ironside, baby. Again, killed it up front. Absolutely killed it. Right areas, right time. The Middlesbrough Marquise just delivers again. Marquise was spot on again. Ironside. Getting you to say Marquise now. Ironside, spot on. Absolutely spot on in that game. Right areas, right time. Some MK fans were telling me that second goal was offside. Looked it back over, it was tight. I'll be honest, it was tight, but I don't think it was offside at all. Personally, from my standpoint. Other people might say different. But Ironside for me had a great game. Lewis Jones, he didn't have a lot to do, but when he was called into action, brilliant. Made a couple of fantastic saves. And Jones did brilliant on the day. And, he's going to be our starting keeper while Lawler's injured again. So, as fans, we've got to just pray, if you haven't praised Jones before when he's done well, please, if he has great performances, just praise him. I know some people don't think he should be the number one. I get that. And I get why some people think he's had enough chance and things like that. But I'm going to reiterate what Ainsley has said in the past about, it's about your defense in front of you and how they perform. If your defense performs well, that helps you as a goalkeeper. It's not all on the goalkeeper. It's all about the defense in front of you. And Jones is doing his bit right now. He's making saves. He's making strong saves. The defense has rapidly improved. And I hate to say it from Tom's point of view, but the defense has improved since Tom Anderson stepped out. Injury or whatever, it doesn't matter if it was an injury or whatever. Since Anderson's been out these past couple of games, the defense has stepped up. And it's nothing against Tom Anderson at all, because I still think Tom Anderson's a fantastic player. But I think the injury at Fleetwood 2 years ago has absolutely hindered his consistency week in, week out as an experienced defender. And with his lack of pace at the moment, because I think he has a lack of pace at the moment compared to Oluwu and Bailey, I think that Anderson's been lacking in terms of his pace, and that's affected his game. And I think that's affected the way we play in terms of defensive nature and the way we set up our defense. And for me, from Anderson's point of view, I think the best thing for Anderson when he comes back from injury is to rotate. So you have your starters, you have Oluwu, Bailey, whoever starts in the defense, with a bit more pace about them, a bit more youth about them, but still some experience. But then if you need to shore it up, cut the pace out of the game a bit, and just shore it up at the back with an absolute rock, you bring in Anderson. You bring in Anderson off the bench, and you bring on that leader. You bring on that experience from the bench. For me, and this is no offense to Anderson, because he's a wonderful guy. He's been a fantastic servant for this club for such a long time now in the modern era, in the past decade. But for me, I don't think Anderson starts week in, week out anymore. And I'm sad to say that, because I've seen Anderson in his prime. I've seen Tom Anderson in his prime. I've seen him when he first came in on loan from Burnley. Bloody Burnley. Sean Dyche is back. I saw when Tom Anderson came in on loan from Burnley in the first time, and years ago, and he came in with that impact. It became a permanent deal. He was a prime player. He was a prime defender. In my opinion, yes, the last decade's been up and quite a lot of down. But I'll tell you something now, Anderson's been one of the longest servants, and he's been one of the better players over the last decade. But in the last couple of years, it's just been on and off. And for me, I just think Anderson needs to be that rotational, experienced bench player that you bring on to stop the pace and bring on the rocks with 20 minutes to go if you need to see out a victory, or you need to see it out and keep people out of the back, or if you're losing a game by a few goals and you need to shear it up at the back and you bring on a rock, you bring on Tom Anderson, you bring on your likes of Richard Wood, players like that, people that might not have the pace, but they have the defensive durability and they have the stone walliness about them. I guess that's kind of a new word in the dictionary now. A stone walliness about them to just block it. And for me, that should be Anderson's role going forward, in my personal opinion. But I do feel sad for Anderson. But for me, just for the defense to move forward, I don't think Anderson starts week in, week out. I think you use his leadership off the pitch and you use his rock durability in terms of the way he blocks shots and takes the pace out of the game in the last 20, 25 minutes off the bench. I think that's the way we move forward with Anderson. But he's still crucial in terms of the way he uses leadership, the way he still comes on and blocks shots. He's still crucial to the way we block. It's just when we need a bit more pace at the back, and with the way McCann's playing at the moment, I think Oluwu and Bailey just are light years ahead of Anderson at the moment in terms of pace. So that's how I would do it going forward. I think Senior had a cracking game as well. I think the midfield had a cracking game. Biggins, I know Biggins has come under a lot of scrutiny this season, but I'll tell you something now. Biggins turned up in that game against MK Dons, absolutely turned up. Ben Close shows how much we missed him in the past few weeks. Holding midfielder, just does the play brilliantly, links it very, very well. Tommy Rowe, he might not have the legs of 10 years ago, but I'll tell you something now, Tommy Rowe has absolutely stepped up in this game when needed to. And he deserved that man of the match award on the night, to be fair. I know I said Bailey was my man of the match, and I know a few other people have said Oluwu and players like that. But for me, I think that Tommy Rowe deserved it. He was brilliant. And again, he's the kind of leader you need in the squad. Sometimes you might not need players that start week in, week out all the time. Sometimes you need those players that would be happy to come on when you need to make an impact and you need a leader on the pitch. So for me, I think that Rowe was the perfect asset for that. And I think that Rowe brings that leadership. He knows how to, organize people and help the younger players to their game. And he's a real character and a real leader. So he's perfect for what we need for the younger players at the moment, especially with the younger players that are set to come in January as well. I think that Rowe's perfect for that, along with Anderson and a few others as well. Some of the younger players coming off the bench, having decent games. Obviously, Kulea getting involved. Again, I thought that was brilliant. I thought it was great when he came on. I love the new chant that we've given Kulea. Kulea. I love the new chant we gave him on the day. Yeah, he can take that one to the bank and shove it into a savings account. But yeah, he came on and did well. I thought all the substitutes came on and did what they needed to shore up the game. And we walk away with the 3 points. For me, I knew MK Dons was going to have more of the ball. I knew for a fact MK Dons were going to have more of the ball in that game. They were a very possession fluent side. They just didn't create a lot. And I think that right-hand side of the back three suffered a lot. I thought Lewington suffered a lot. And fair play to Lewington. I think he's broke a record now for appearance in the Football League. Or a record for appearance in the Football League. So big up to Dean Lewington. MK legend. And absolute legend in the EFL. Can't discredit Dean Lewington. He's a legend of the Football League. But I could tell that he's only played like a few games recently. I could tell he's played some games back to back and only appeared in a few games in recent weeks. So, it seemed like Lewington's legs were catching up with him in this game. And yeah, I think Molyneux gave him a really good game as well. But yeah, overall, 3 points, 3 goals. Can't really complain, can you? Just to finish off then, a couple of bits of extra news. Tyler Roberts is gone back to Wolves. He's eligible for another loan for the last 6 months of the season because he didn't play for his parent club before coming to us. So he is eligible for another loan deal for the rest of the season. So best of luck to Tyler. Absolute gentleman off the pitch. Had potential, real potential. And it's a shame we've gone back to the 4-3-3 now because I think he would have been perfect on that left-hand side. But yeah, I think for me, I think the formation changes constantly and the injury setback earlier in the season, I think just didn't help his progress. And I think he needs that loan further down or somewhere else to get his game back up and running for the next 6 months of the season, the last 6 months of the campaign. So Tyler has nothing but my best wishes. Any Wolves fans that were worried about this and why he's gone back and stuff like that, don't worry about it. He's still a massively potentially high-rated player, and I think you guys know that already. In certain games this season, he showed exactly what he's about. Full of pace, electric like a rocket. It's like "Don't Stop Me Now" by Queen, flying high up in the sky, 200 degrees. They call him Mr. Fahrenheit. Tyler Roberts is Mr. Fahrenheit. His speed gets fans hot under the collar, and it's like that scene from Fast and Furious, one of the recent ones. It's like, my backside's in fuego. He just paces down those channels and was just fantastic in those games. So he goes with nothing but my best wishes. And hopefully best for his development for the rest of the season as well, and going forward as well. And finally, obviously, Alan, good old Alan, football journalist, has been at it again on social media, sharing news of a potential loan deal for Doncaster Rovers, talking about Jack Wells-Morrison from Crystal Palace. I'm going to hold off talking about this one because I generally don't know, especially what I've seen in the last week from other sources about Charlton Athletic being in for him. I think Darren Whitcoop, I think, said that. That Charlton, I think Charlton's interested, Championship interest as well. So I'm going to hold off speaking about Jack Wells-Morris. I saw that this morning. I was like, oh, hell no. It'd be a very exciting play if it happens, but hell no. With Championship, if it generally happens and we get him above Championship and League One clubs, I'll be genuinely surprised. I'd be really, really surprised about that. I'm not expecting much from this one, if I'm being brutally honest. But nevertheless, we'll see what happens. I'll keep my eyes on it just in case. But yeah, 3-0, 3 points, 3 goals. Can't complain at that at all. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. I am the CHALL. Stay tuned for all the FA Cup content and all the rest of the videos coming up as well. Ta-ra for now. Hear it!